Tegra118's 2020 Internship Spotlight Interview, and today the spotlight is on our Business Development Intern, Grace Wu. How are you, Grace?
Good, how are you?
Doing very well. So let's dive in. Grace, tell us about your internship role here at Tegra118.
So like you mentioned, I'm the Business Development Intern here at Tegra118, and I'm a part of the relationship management and sales team. So a lot of what I do, I jump into client calls, sort of evaluate the field of play in the industry, and I also help streamline account plans. But I would say the overarching mission of my purpose here is to make the sales team's lives a lot easier. So I help design, build, maintain processes, and hopefully reducing the friction in the sales process so that the sales team can be as productive and efficient as possible.
One cool thing we're seeing here at Tegra118 is its genuine diversity of people and talent. Would you share with us a bit about yourself, where you're from, where you go to school, and what you're studying?
Yeah, so I'm from King of Prussia, which is a suburb that's 40 minutes away from Philadelphia. And usually what clicks with people is when I tell them that we're situated to one of the biggest malls in the United States. So I usually like to throw that fun fact in there. Currently, I'm a rising junior at the University of Pennsylvania studying communications and also pursuing a healthcare management minor and a consumer psychology minor. And this was definitely not always the case. I actually entered in college wanting to pursue chemistry, and I was on the pre-med track. So it's definitely been a huge 180 for me.
Wow. So Grace, that's a huge shift in majors. Can you tell me a little bit about the thought process behind your decision to make that change? As a follow-up, also, can you tell me how this shift in study has better equipped you for your future career aspirations?
Yeah, so I think that entering into college with such a narrow mindset of like what I was going to study really helped me focus on academics. But I also quickly realized that, the chemistry I loved in high school was very different from the chemistry I was learning in college. And so I didn't find it fulfilling enough and anymore. So after, a whole freshman spring semester of me deliberating about the decision and having mental breakdowns like every other week, I decided to just bite the bullet and switch over to communications, which actually was a very impulsive decision. But looking back, I think that this is probably one of the best things I could have done for myself. I think when I was a chemistry major, I had such a narrow view as to what I wanted to study. I knew I wanted to go into pharmaceuticals, maybe medicine, and do research, but that's sort of only the tip of the iceberg of what you can do as a chemistry major. And so I kind of needed to step back and work from a blank slate, which I felt like communications was inherently a more broad field where I can apply to different industries. And so going through that academic shift really put myself into a lot of socially interactive situations. So I was able to pursue interests like business, also social impact, and talking to so many different individuals, I think really helped me prep for the business world.
That's awesome. So you're into your third week here as an intern at Tegra118, and I know we've all been working on some pretty big projects. What new skills have you learned that you're most excited about?
I think in terms of new skills, I think I've been working a lot on developing my prior skills, which I came into Tegra118 thinking I had it pretty honed down, but working in the remote space has definitely changed that a little bit for me. So for instance, one of the projects I'm working on right now is a training and certification program featuring 3 of the products that we work on. So Advantage Fee, Retire Up, UWP. And so we've had general meetings in terms of trying to standardize the content for these programs, but because each product group is at a different pace along with the timeline that we're trying to work on, there's been so many moving parts involved. So we went from the general meetings and now we're starting to shift towards these individual meetings with each product group. And so, coming out of these meetings, we have different takeaways for each one. So what I've learned the most is that it's really important to write things down because there's going to be different moving parts as you move through the whole process, and staying on top of it and being organized. Also communicating frequently and getting constant feedback has been really helpful.
Yeah. So I feel like it would be a big miss if I didn't address the fact that we're all currently working here at Tegra118 remotely. I feel like this is a really great and unique experience and opportunity that so many other companies have chosen to completely forego with their summer internship program. Can you tell me what it's been like working remotely and what value you feel like this has given you for your future?
So first off, I wanted to express my immense gratitude to Tegra118 for planning and structuring such a well thought out internship program. And I think one of the reasons a lot of companies chose to forego theirs was, the lack of the company culture, maybe the experience. But I think that Tegra118 has done an amazing job of combating that. So for instance, we have these fireside chats with employees that maybe we don't get to interact with on a day-to-day basis. And, we also have our happy hours, which are always really fun. And so I think that working virtually at such a dynamic company like Tegra118 has sort of added another layer of responsibility. So, for instance, if I was in person on site and I had a question about a certain assignment, I could just walk up to my lovely supervisor, Sherry, ask the question, get an answer done. But now that everything's virtual and we have that physical barrier, it takes a lot more time to get your questions answered. And so you do have to be wary that everyone's time is precious and that certain things that may have only taken 5 minutes may now have been triple folded or maybe quadruple folded. And so time management is probably the best takeaway I have from this experience. And, learning to work smarter, not harder in terms of how I structure my day. And, speaking on behalf of the interns, I think we're all having such a rewarding experience and gaining such amazing skills that wouldn't have been as further developed had we been in person. So coming out of it, I think we'll be a lot more, mindful of how we spend our time, which can be applied to our academics and future careers.
That's awesome. That's great. So I thought we'd end this interview with something fun and light, something more personal that you can give everyone a better perspective of who you are as a person and what makes you unique. Can you share with us an interest or a hobby that you have that sets you apart, maybe even makes you a trailblazer, and talk about how this activity translates to your internship here at Tegra118 and has made you a stronger team member?
So I wouldn't say this is an interest or a hobby, but what surprises a lot of people is when I tell them that I'm actually the hugest introvert. And so, working in the sales team, when you're constantly interacting with new clients and people every day, that might seem really odd. And it definitely was a really big change for me to shift towards that path of, interacting with so many people in a given day. But I think also, putting myself in uncomfortable situations also shows that, I'm growing as an individual, personally and professionally. And I think I've gotten the confidence to be able to take on new projects that originally I might have not, even muster the courage to ask for. And so, asking questions, knowing that there's a supportive team behind my back has been so, so helpful. So I can't even express like how happy I am to have Sherry as my advisor. She definitely is super receptive to everything I tell her. And so it's definitely been a work in progress, but being a risk taker is probably one of the biggest career changes I've had in terms of how I go about things. But tying this to a more personal hobby, I really like exploring new brunch places in the area. So I'm always down for food. And, if you give me a restaurant recommendation, I'll definitely be able to take up on that offer.
Awesome. Well, Grace, I really enjoyed talking with you, and this has been a great Together Tegra 118 moment. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.